Hello, this is Victor and here with a new blast from the past, and this time I will go to Warhammer 40k or 40,000 second edition, and this is the Orcs Codex. This is the version in Spanish, it's the only one I have, but I wanted to share with you, and you will see how the Orcs have changed over the time. So let's make a look to the Codex. Most of the Codex is in white and black, and you can see here one unit that is not existing today. These are wild boar riders. Okay, if you want to see, here we have one miniature. This is a 40k miniature. Okay, they were riders on wild boars. I will show you more miniature later on. So yeah, they were also, everything was metal. There were some cannons, different cannons. You see here one of them. So I was collecting some orcs at the period of time. The problem is there were not new miniatures for chaos, and you were able to ally orcs and chaos in that period of time. So I thought, why not to put some orcs to ally with my chaos army. So you see here, this is the index with all the content, and yeah, we will go through that, but as well there was a lot of fluff at the beginning and then the rules at the end, as we used to have today. Okay, so let's go with some introduction. You see the artwork was very I would say comic looking, like quite was very 40k style, or very Games Workshop style. All this artwork, I think is you can see here. I don't know if this is the illustrator. Yeah, it's John Blanche. Okay, so you will see it's John Blanche, the illustrator, and we have also Wayne England and Mark Gibbons. And then the illustration on the cover is from Mark Gibbons. Okay, and then we have the histories are for Bill King and Lindsay Deladux Patton. Okay, so you see here it's quite people collaboration, and then the book was by Jervis Johnson. Okay, so you see we have the squeaks. We're talking about the squeaks. Just as a fun thing, you will see that some orcs have hair. This is not hair. These are hairy squeaks. So what they were doing is they were having hairy squeaks, and the hairy squeaks was attached to the head of the orc by the jaws. So we already had all the orc clans in that period of time. We have the Bad Moon, it's called the Death School, I think it's called, the Snake Beater, the Goth, the Bad Sun, and the what's called is the Blood Axe. I don't remember now the names in English, sorry for that. So then they talk about the orc culture with K. Okay, about the special weapons. Then they start talking about the orc artillery, and then we have the track cannon, and then we have also the Destructor Cannon and the quick thrower catapult and the tricky track cannon and pulse rocket, I guess it's called. So a lot of different and then of course this is one of the most traditional weapons, the attack shock cannon. So this is also was already there on the second edition. So we have then what was the orc equipment, and one of the special equipment was the special combi weapon that today is what the Lutas have. Okay, this is the evolution of the Lutas, and here we have an example of an old orc with a special combi weapon with the blue paintings from the school. So yeah, then they also had a special weapon for the Gretchings, and we had then here all the different orc troops. So the orcs, the Gretchins, Snorlings, then these are the I don't know how it's called this in English, sorry for that. These are the guys leading the Gretchings. Yeah, the Weird Boys, the Dog Boys, the Mecha Boys, so all this type of, yeah, we have here all the Weird Boys, and then they talk about the Board Riders, okay, the Board Riders, and they also had the Ogwins. The Ogwins were also part of the Orcs in that period of time, okay, and here we have, they also had the Commandos and the Assault Orcs that now they are the Stormtroopers. Okay, so and the funny thing is they were dressed like Nazi, German Nazi soldiers. It was I find it quite fun, because they are the only ones that were barely disciplined in that period of time, and this is why they put this type of helmet. So here we have, this was the first Gathkul Tvaka, and the legend that was always with him. So was Gathkul Tvaka, and the Gretchen was Makari. Makari was a so lucky Gretchen that he has a 2+ invulnerable save. Okay, so he was always serving on 2+ invulnerable. So it was all modified in that period, because in second edition was like the current edition, so you had negative, you had friend to the weapons as well. So this guy had 2+ non-modified, always saving on 2+. Doesn't matter what weapon was thrown to him. Doesn't matter, there was not mortal wounds, but his mortal wounds were existing, he would keep saving on 2+. He was useless, so I mean, he was not doing any type of damage, he was almost very difficult to kill, and the background is because he was so lucky that even when a bomb was exploding, maybe he was just behind the perfect rock to avoid an explosion or something like that. We also had this special character, Zudvok Worsnaga, who was one of these Gretchen leaders. Here you see what I was telling you before. This was the assault troops, and now what's called the Storm Boys, with this very, they were metal, everything was metal in that period of time. So we have the Blood Axe clan, okay, and here we have the Commandos. Okay, I also have here one of the Commandos from the second edition, metal. This is the Sergeant. Okay, I paint them with desert camouflage. Of course, everything was on 25mm, and the board riders were on square cavalry pieces. Okay, so here you see the different cannons. This was the Destructor Cannon. This is the tractor. And then, I don't remember. I think this was the Tricky Tracket Cannon or something like that. I don't know exactly what is the name in English, but here we have the previous attack shock cannon, and you had to put next to him templates of snorkelings, because this each time you were shooting, you were killing the snorkelings, because the snorkelings were teleported through the cannon. So this was how much the base of the snorkelings you have next to him was how much shots you can have for your cannon. Okay, you can see, and you can see also that the army was not coherent. They were painting the different clans, and they were all mixed. So we have the Goth, they were the main Goth, and then we'll show you later on more minis. But this was the classic plastic miniature. So the second edition box was coming with this orc. The only thing that you can do is put this weapon up and down, so this was rotated, and I have, I don't know, 30 or 40 of these orcs, okay? And then the box was with these orcs and these Gretchens, that are the only plastic miniatures at that period of time that you can get from each workshop from the orc in second edition. You see that we also have these are the pirates. That now will be more like the Flashgeath guys, but they were called pirates in that period of time. So you see here the Gretchens. I don't see if the plastic Gretchen is here. Yeah, this is the plastic Gretchen. It's camouflage. These are these and these are the plastic Gretchen. You see, they have exactly the same position. And then we have, this was the very old Orc Dreadnought. was more like looking like a garbage bin. And you can see here they were the snake bite clan, and they were the boar riders. Then there were two types of boars. So you have the normal boar, and then you have the cyborg or side boar. Okay, so that was a half boar, half machine, and it was getting crazy. So he was really like a crazy type of animal. And you also have they were the more classic. They were dressed like American Indians, to say it in a way. Okay, so yeah, you see here this is the Destructor Cannon. Okay, and you can see then we have the death school. The thing they called death schools. Death schools, I think are called. I don't remember. That's what if I don't remember. Then we have here special equipment for the orcs. Okay, we have these were templates that you can photocopy. What's quite weird in that period of time, because they were not color photocopies, a way to make easy copies in color. Well, most likely all the copies we were doing were on black and white, because the photocopy equipments were not able to do color copies. So yeah, it was not easy to have these copies, and this was when you were throwing, this was for the squeak catapult, and then you were throwing very small squeaks on the opponents. Okay, and now we go sorry for that, to the list, army list. Okay, they talk here about the characters, the mobs, and sorry. So you can see here they were talking about. Then we have the army, the weapon list or the weapon options, and they start with the army list. So you can see you have the name, you have the points, you have everything in one page. And then the organization was completely different as today. So you were able to put up to 50% on characters. You have to put at least 25% on mobs, and maximum 80% on heavy support. But if you can see, these are all the different characters, so you will put any combination of them, any number, if you don't reach the 50% of the army. But this is quite a lot, 50% of the army. And you can see you have even the official, Ogwin official. Okay, so you have Ogwins, you have all what we have seen before. And then you have the mobs, and then from mobs you have from the nobles, or the mob, okay, the nob boys. You have the commandos, you have the corsairs, you have even here you have the mad boys. Okay, so you have all the different type of mobs here, and then you have what we call heavy support, was mainly the Ogwins and the dreadnought, mainly I think. And then we have here, yeah, the buggy and the attack bike. You also all these things and all this type of heavy weapons. But as you can see, even the heavy weapon mobs, and well, here you can also be able to buy. So yeah, you were able to buy snugglies in groups. So yeah, there were a lot of different things. So let's go. We have the Goth warriors here, or the Goth boys. Yeah, you have the. That's cool. You had one unit per type of clan, right? So this was quite curious here in the second edition. Then the next part you have the heavy weapons, and here we have, or the heavy support, I have to say, and we have the Ogwins, the dreadnought, and then they had here all the different heavy or artillery, like the pulse rocket, the different cannons here, the catapult. Then we have the Orc Battle Wagon. This was very interesting. I think it was the Orc Battle Wagon. The Orc Battle Wagon in that moment of time have to be done scratch made. Okay, so you were putting all your orcs inside of the battle wagon, and then you move the battle wagon on the battlefield. If the orcs that were falling from the battle wagon when you were moving it were killed boys. Okay, So you were able to put as many boys as you wanted on top of the battle wagon. You were able to do as big as you want this battle wagon, but when you were moving that, any orc that was falling off from the battle wagon, it was a dead orc. Okay, so it was quite a fun thing. You can see the second edition, they had some humanistic parts. So we also had the buggy, the attack bike, and then we have the attack bike was then we have the flamer, or how it's called, the guys, the thing that was this thing that was half bike and with the caterpillar at the back. Then we have the novel bike. Okay, so it's 20 points plus the point of the knob. Okay, and then we have also the war bike. And here we have the special characters. In second edition, special characters were only you can use only them with the, if you had the permission or you have the agreement with your opponent. Here we have Nazdvek Urdvuk. Then we have we have Badvuk. We have this was how it's called. Was the Matt Gvoznik, who was a dog. Okay, then we have Gaskul Tvaka. And Gaskul Tvaka was coming together with the Makari, who was the battle standard bearer, or the battle standard bearer of the army. He was giving so the big points. He was costing 70 points, but the big thing of this guy, he was giving a morale to the rest of the orcs. Orcs always suffered of leadership, especially in this edition, so you were able really to run them away just by leadership. So this guy was a way to help and to avoid they were killed easily by leadership. Here we have Zok Dwok Worsnaga, and then we have Wasdaka Gatmek. This is a mech. Okay. And then we have, and this guy, if I'm not wrong, there was one guy that, this guy he had a bike with a battle cannon on the bike. Okay, so it was a special, so it was 66 points for him, 126 points for the bike, and he was riding a bike, but at the back of the bike he had a battle cannon. So each time that you were shooting the battle cannon, the retroflex force and the back force of the cannon was moving the bike back. And then he was also crazy and he was running like hell as well. Look that in second edition we also had the movement for each unit, and this movement is not in inches, it's in centimeters, so they were putting the movement in Spanish in centimeters. Then we have all the orc glyphs here, so you can have this was interesting for me too when I was painting the and was quite inspiring when you try to paint orcs. Here you have all the glyphs, and I think I will look at that when I'm doing the speed freaks, because I think it's quite interesting thing. So it's why I like these books. And then we have always at the end of the books we always have a history, and then here you have all the old metal. So they were putting at the back the catalog of the miniatures. So these are the bull riders. Here we have these are the snake beat. Okay, or more. And this is the tricky cannon. So you have here, and then you have all the parts that were coming on each kit. But you can see that everything was metal. And then the guys that are without arms is because these are the only plastic parts that we used to have in that period of time. That was the arms, and the arms maybe this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy was having the same arm at the end. Okay, so this was quite common. These things of metal were most of the time a pain to make. So here we have the stormtroopers of this period of time. Okay, you can see, and the backpack was also metal. Gaskul track, of course, metal. All the characters were metal. The only plastic we had on that period of time was this. So one orc, one Gretching, and then arms and weapons. This was all the plastic, everything. You say here it says plastic. This all the plastic in this period of time. No more plastic. The rest were metal. Even if you want to have Gretchings with different poses. These were all the Gretchings. There were 14 Gretchings. Okay, and that was all. These white conversions were quite important when in the period of time, because if you want to have more Gretchings, most likely you would like to have you try to do some conversion to something like that, or you look for alternative. Well, to be fair, during this period of time they were not alternative. And here we have all the material that was for Warhammer 40k in that period of time. So we had, of course, the Warhammer 40k, the starter kit, we had the Dark Millennium, and then the first codex that they launched was the Space Wolves, followed by the Elder, Ultramarines, and then the Orcs. So this was all the codexes we had. Of course, we had in the starter kit there were the list of all the armies, and then everybody was expecting the codex to have all these special rules and all this. Like this, we had here like the index we have today, but yeah, I think this we were waiting years. I think that we had 1-2 codexes per year. So this codex, just to give you an idea. Look at here if I can see the date of the printing date. It's from 1995. Okay, this codex is from 1995. So you can see also all the type of these were original the type of orc houses, all scratch built. So all this was scratch building from Games Workshop. And here you have the orcs. So let's make just a look to the miniatures I bring for you, so you can also see how they look like. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let's go start. This is the Wild Boar. Please don't judge the painting. The painting is yeah, it's also from the 90s, and in that period of time I did not have even inks, or this is not well. Yeah, it have been unglued. I need to glue them, but you can see he has a plasma pistol in one side and a pistol on the other side. Of course, he does not care how to. And then this is a paper. They were coming with this type of paper banner. Not quite rigid because I think I had to put super glue because the glue wasn't working well. Yeah, this was very colorful, very from the 80s. This is the plastic. I paint them like goth, and I have lots of them, and most of them are not painted. It is my first trial of doing check pattern. Okay, the goth always have this check pattern, and yeah, this is quite an old miniature as well. Then I have these that I paint like Bad Moon Clan. Okay, and I wanted to do the black flaming. They look quite dirty, and yeah, with dust and time. And you can see they have the typical 80s base. Okay, yeah. Then I try to go for something different on the base, but just changing the color. This is more a desert looking like. I had this type of sand that was quite strange. And then here we have this is the special combi weapon. Okay, and in that period of time they were started shooting random. Okay, so this was quite a powerful weapon and was shooting randomly. So you can see here all metal. Okay, all except I think this arm is the only one that is maybe plastic, but the weapon is completely metal. And he has a watch here. Okay, so yeah, of course not too many highlights or something like that, just to try to do a quite nice job. And here we have as well from this period of time this is Sergeant of the Commandos. He have, well, I like a lot this detail. He has a Swiss knife here. Let me see if I can zoom in. But I really like this detail. You can see here the Swiss knife. This miniature was coming with all these details, so this is not being added by me. This is the original miniature in metal. So and these details cannot be seen when you see them in the book. So these were really highly detailed. And I think this orc can even be used today. So I really like this miniature. This is one of my favorite orc miniatures. Let me zoom out a little bit. No, I liked. It's going to be. This is one of my favorite miniature orcs. And then yeah, this was one of the cannons again, trying to do the check pattern. And you can see I tried to paint the details in that period of time. I have all the rivets painted, but yeah, I was missing to do the right highlights and so on. But I think I always try to paint quite a good standard. And these are, I told you, these were painted in the 90s, right? So I know that I zoom in here, you can have better view. The tail is broken. They used to have a curling tail, typical pig tail, but yeah, it was broken in that case. And yeah, they were funny. So they used to have this in fantasy as well. So this is plastic. This is the only thing that is plastic is the wild boar, and the rider is metal. Okay. Yeah, this was the other plastic thing they have, and this is because this was coming from all the horses. These were the only thing that was plastic in the period of time, where the monopose guys and the horses and all the steeds, they used to be plastic as well. And this is all what I want to share with you. This is Orcs Warhammer 40k 2nd edition. Let's zoom out so you can see this fantastic illustration, I think, from the codex. So I think this is a really nice illustration. And yeah, although the orcs have evolved, they always had this mixture of craziness. You see here, this is quick, it's quite nice. So there's always this mixture of craziness and pintoresque army that, yeah, they have evolved the fluff, but here you have the look from the 80s. So very heavy metal from the 80s. So you see this with the samurai type of helmet, and then we have this guy with the type of German army helmet, and here we have this guy with I don't know, with the Viking thing. So it was really interesting army, and was more, I would say, more humoristic in that period of time, and now they are becoming a little bit more serious. So that's all for now. I hope you have liked this Blast from the Past, one of my favorite factions, to be fair, in Warhammer 40k. And I think I like more the look from the 80s than maybe today looks, although the new boogies and the new vehicles are awesome. But maybe I will paint the new orcs with the look of the 80s. I'm thinking if I will do that, or the 80s, 90s, I mean. Okay, that's all for now. Please let me know, what do you think, if you have liked this Blast from the Past. I hope you have enjoyed, like me, looking at this old material. And as usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye!